Accessories come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite accessories, and that's the hats. So if you're a hat fanatic like me, then continue watching because I'll be covering the ones that were featured in the Spring-Summer 2026 runway shows. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Design or Design. My name is Maria and today I'm talking about hats, thing that I am quite obsessed about. I am growing my collection bit by bit. Nothing too fancy, but maybe one day I'll be able to afford something special. Let's head into a very practical hat for the warmer months, and it's the floppy wide brim hat. So we do see a lot of straw floppy hats, something that is not very new, but the size of it is quite impressive, like we're seeing in Ralph Lauren at the moment. We also see something on a mid-size. You don't have to wear a bunch of them, but think about the floppiness of it. Etcher here with more of the leather texture. Not sure how well it's gonna be in the heat and the sun, but it is quite interesting with a little brooch holding up the wide brim so you can actually see what you're doing. There were some designers that brought a little bit more texture to those hats by straw or other elements. Next one up is the bucket hat. Yes, we do still see it, but it has a little bit of a reworking in there. We see it a little bit more messy, a little bit more floppy, as I just talked about, and sometimes having like extra things like a veil. Maybe it has a little bit more texture to it. It's made of straw, or it's worn a little bit like a sailor hat, so the brim is up and about. Prada for men's was the biggest fanatic of these bucket hats, but it's completely different. It's like they took an actual straw basket, painted it white mostly, there are some other iterations of these colors, and just plopped it on the head. Or it even looks like a light shade, just there. Interesting, not sure how many people will go for it, but it will definitely keep the sun out of your face and will make sure that you're not gonna get heat stroke by, just being out and about. Also, there were a little bit messier straw hats, but still being in that bucket hat scenario. I think they're wearing like multiple as a normal hat and then that on top. I feel like it's gonna be not the most comfortable thing to wear, but I love the texture that this brings to a very regular outfit. In Prada show, you can see that those clothes are completely regular. Maybe there's some interesting color choices, but we're talking about the hats and having that texture in there, bringing it a little bit more into bohemian, but the clothes don't even do that. Anyways, next ones are the very favorite caps. We're ranged through a lot of them. Right now we're seeing more of a baseball cap, something that everybody has. We've seen the iteration of having it layered with scarves. This time around, not as many. We also see more of a jockey cap from Balenciaga in variety of colors and sometimes different textures. There was a feathered one. There is also ones that you can tie. So it is a mix between a scarf and a cap. It has a visor and it's tied. Actually, we've seen it in several shows. Saint Laurent had the newsboy cap in leather. We also see more voluminous version of that in off-white, kind of going into the tam o' shanter, but with visor still. We lots of flat caps from Dolce & Gabbana, and we've seen popularity of it on social media, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna kick up even more. We also see just something simple. Here we do see some layering it with scarves. Not sure how practical it is for spring summer as it's more of a hotter month, but still. We also see more veils here in Courageous, the hats and going completely monochromatic with the veil and the outfit. Jean-Paul Gaultier had very interesting, unique baseball caps. So basically the only difference is that they had this almost like a samurai thing. That is what pops out to me. And they were worn in different ways, like on the side, on the back, and etc. Also, Loewe had more of a sailor hat, but you know, one of those fisherman sailors, not the sailor that I love. But it is an excellent way of keeping your face and your neck safe from sunburns. Anyways, the next trend is something that we definitely can wear and should, because we already seen it in previous season and it's still here with us, and it's a headscarf. We see just the regular scarves, like the tiny ones that kind of send you into a faraway farmland somewhere in Europe. For instance, this is how many women dress when they're milking the cow where I'm from. But you can definitely go away from that narrative by maybe not going floral, maybe going very monochromatic and chic. We see Gucci with their florals and their monogram, of course. We also see more of the transparent headscarves, which is really cool, but they were worn more like openly. We also see some shows wrapping heads around in garments like the sweaters or just long sleeve shirts. Yes, we also see more of a realistic ones like here in Boss, which is, I'm not even sure if it's an additional thing or if it is like a shirt on top. No, I think it's the thing for itself, yeah. But anyways, these things work beautifully to either take our hair away from our faces or just make sure that whenever you didn't wash your hair that nobody will notice. That's the way I do it, although I did wash my hair today. Just for you guys, just for you. It was time, trust me. We also see them coming up with different textures like leathers. Brox and Bonko had so many of these, and they usually matched completely the outfit in one tone or had more like a pop of print on there from time to time. Mostly it was monochromatic and having the same texture, the same fabric on everything. So maybe it's going to be a little bit harder for you to pick out unless you go out and buy a whole new outfit in the same color that just matches everything. Having that actually works great in trying to elongate your silhouette, but it's not for everybody, I'd say. Yeah. Louis Vuitton had some of the turban style headpieces. I'm not sure if those are just like you put it on or you need to do it actually. Some shows were inspired by the African culture. I'm pretty sure that designer is of African descent, so it shouldn't be a problem. Anyways, next one up is the decorative beanie. By that I mean on the show right here. It's the little hats that's just decorative and they have either beads or crystals on them. Etro was a big fan of these and I quite like, but I'm not sure if it's a scarf or not because there was something at the back of the model's head just there. There was also some fringe moments. Moschino here, was also not sure if those are like pins or though that's a hat. We also see some other interesting examples of that as well. There were lots of shows that had very interesting, unique, really crazy hats, and Dior was not an exception. Jonathan Anderson wanted to rethink the vintage bar hat from Dior and make it a little bit more nunny. So going a little bit into religion, going into the nuns. Me thinking, looking at these is like a flying nun right here, but still quite interesting. Would I wear this? Probably yes. There were also some of these that looked more like pirate hats. I'm not even sure if they're going to sell them or not. Anyways, Schiaparelli had some really unique glossy hats that like, it just looks like a blob for some reason. We also see more like little cappies in several shows. Vivienne Westwood had really unique hats as well. Some florals, some like a folded up swan of some sort. Chanel bringing a little bit more texture through their hats. I'm not sure if they're going to be selling it or is it just part of the show itself to bring a little bit more interest. I have absolutely no idea. Schiaparelli again with more muted ones, like miniature bucket hats but scaled up, and also some frilly head accessories, hair jewelry even here in Moschino as well. There is lots of straw If anything that you want to take away from this video is straw hats will be a thing, and it doesn't really matter what kind. You can see here there was layering of hats on top of hats, which is interesting. We also see more of the kind of army influence in some shows of having these hats stacked. We also see more of the ladylike aesthetic of that bar hat that I've talked about, with maybe some feathers as accessories, and others just interesting choices. Not sure if I agree or not. Simone Rocha with the whole aviator hat. We have moved on to a really different area of veils and different hats. Antonia Marras, and I didn't really know what to do with these, so here they are, and you can watch more. Another show that had some interesting choices for the hats was the Vetes. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah. Okay, next one up are the barrettes. Not a lot of shows did that, but I like barrettes. Here is one of them, and here is the other. Just the two shows, okay. Canton Cruin had that. Altuzara and Schiaparelli had the pillbox hats, which I would love to get and start wearing, yeah. Anyways, you guys, yes, this was tiny video. There were not a lot of hats, unfortunately, on the runways. I'm still waiting for the wide brim to come back, the wide brim, because I have lots of them. And you know what? If it's not trending, that's not a reason for you not to wear it. You know what I mean? You can still wear your favorite things. Just think about how can you restyle it so it looks a little bit more fresher. Maybe think about styling with more of the accessories that are popular right now, which I'm going to be covering in the video to come. All right, you guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did finish this video, so usually I try to pick an emoji that fits the whole theme, but it's quite predictable. So put down in the comments an emoji of it's okay, at least that's what I think, or it's very little, I'm not sure still. So this emoji or this, I'm not sure which way it's gonna go. That way I'll know that you're very cool. If you want to check out how I style my hats, I encourage you to check out my Instagram, where I try to share my daily outfits if I go out anywhere, anytime. It's very rarely that I do now these days. Now it's getting cold. Apparently YouTube thinks that you will enjoy this video, so make sure to click on it next. But other than that, I hope you have an amazing rest of the day, and yeah, stay classy. Bye.